Hey there! Coming at you all painted up and fluffed up as opposed to what's normally been going on around here the last few weeks. I must admit, I've kind of enjoyed not feeling like I needed to put makeup on and look all cute every day. But lucky for you, I kind of spruced up a little bit. When David told me that he asked me to do this, I had another subject in mind which switched gears, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But something that's really been interesting me is invisibility. So, we're talking a lot about the invisible enemy, which is coronavirus, and I'm thinking about how God has invisible qualities, and he works in ways that we don't see. And I'm just going to drop that and leave that with you there, and maybe we can talk about that at a later date. But that was really something interesting that I think is kind of cool to explore. But the reason I switched gears was because we found out that Helen Blake passed away. And as she was to me, I'm sure she was to so many of you, she was a precious, special person. And I just felt like speaking to you ladies, we can't go by without giving her honor. In Romans 13:7, it talks about giving what's owed, and I believe that Helen is owed honor. And today I'm going to talk about the 3 things that Helen taught me. So everybody has their Helen stories, and we have a lot of them because she was around a long time and really interwoven in our lives. But the first thing that she taught me was that I was her favorite. Did you think that too? Right. She made us feel that way. And when we had a going away party for her a few years ago before she moved to Plainview, I was visiting with her and I said, you have this really special gift to make everybody feel like they are your favorite. And so she leaned in and she whispered in my ear and she was like, but your family is different. You're special. And I was like, oh, you say that to all the girls. And I know that she means that. And I know that she means it about all the people that she cares about. But what a special quality that she had to make people feel that way. One of the things that Helen was good at was that she got to know people's names. And a lot of us are not really great at getting to know people's names, but she did. And how special it is to hear somebody call your name and to know your kids' names and to remember your parents' names. And not just your names, but she wanted to really get to know the people. How many people of you considered her a second grandmother or a second mother or a sister? Because she was not just superficial or face value or just kind in getting to know people, but she was really invested in people's lives. I can think of 2 to 3 families that she truly became their grandmas. And she has her own blood grandkids that named her grandmas. But there are a lot of people that she was grandmas too. Those families that she was intimately involved with, they sought out her advice. She went to their kids' activities. They were in her home a lot. They were very entwined in each other's lives. But also the kids in the Bible chair and young people in church and her peers and her great friends that she had in church. We were all her favorite. Number 2, above all else, love. And in 1 Corinthians 13, we know about love, but I think about the end where it says, now these 3 remain, faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these is love. And there are so many verses that talk about love in the Bible, too many that I could talk about in this time frame, but Helen lived those verses. She could turn a non-hugger like me into a hugger and give me a really sweet kiss on the cheek every time she saw me. It takes a real warmth to make people comfortable enough to be physically demonstrative with you, even if they normally aren't. But I always expected a hug from Helen, and I was very comfortable giving her hugs. I saw her light up with joy and clap her hands whenever she would hear good news about something going on in our lives. And I've seen her cry and just embrace people sharing in their sorrow. Another way she demonstrated love was that she was not afraid to speak the truth in love. Now, Helen wasn't known as somebody that just haphazardly went around, giving everybody her opinion and being really loud and vocal about things. But she was not afraid to speak her mind with a very loving way, in a very loving way. I don't know anybody that was ever offended by her because you knew that it came from the best place. The third thing that she taught me was to stay right in the middle of the family. You know, she didn't let her age or her circumstances define her position within the church. I don't know many people who truly are involved in just about every sector of the church family. She was cross-generational. And not just in a way that everybody knew her and liked her, but she was part of it. You know, she made cinnamon rolls for the Bible chair kiddos, and she had us over to her house and made us chicken strips. I still think about it because they were so good. She had baby showers, which I think the last few times, if she had a baby shower, that meant your baby was coming that day, which was unusual. But she just never stopped being part of it. And then whenever, you know, her physical limitations might happen, she would just change things up. She would find somebody to give her a ride. She would find people to come over. She would still make her way to church just as much as she could. And so that was a great example to me. So my challenge to you is to share your Helen stories. Share them among those of us who knew her and loved her, and it'll give us comfort and joy. But also share them with people that didn't know her. I know for years to come, I'm going to be talking about her and the great example that she's been in my life, and the way to live despite your circumstances, and to be a great part of the body, no matter what. As I wrap up today, I just want to give you a few things to consider, kind of apart from what we just talked about. First of all, I want to ask you to think of 3 things that you are thankful for about coronavirus. 1 Thessalonians 5:16 tells us to be joyful always, pray continually, and give thanks in all things, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. So we're supposed to be finding things to be grateful for while staying connected to God. And so the first thing that I'm thankful for is that coronavirus is in the springtime. Just for school-wise, you know, I have a senior this year, and yeah, some of his major milestone things are going to look a little different, but he's gotten to have the majority of his year. Also, this school-at-home thing, these teachers are knocking it out of the park, y'all. They're doing a great job. But the nice thing is that we're toward the end of the year. You know, if things don't work out perfectly, it's okay, you know, because of this time, and it's spring. It's nice outside. I'm glad we're not cooped up inside. Number 2, I'm thankful for technology, and I'm not usually a big technology person, but I'm glad that we can stay connected in ways like this. We can work from home. We can do school from home. We can shop from home. We can have our worship service streamed to our houses. It's not ideal, but we've always known the church wasn't a building, and we can stay connected that way. And then number 3, I'm thankful that we have, at least in my home, all the supplies that we need. Now, I may be thinking I don't have all the stuff I want, and I may all of a sudden think that I need some spray cheese from United just because I can't go get it, even though I hate spray cheese. But overall, I've got all the supplies I need. You know, the kids and I talk a lot about that this isn't the kind of natural disaster where we can't drive our car down the driveway, that our electricity is still turned on, we've still got water, we've still got food. The supply lines haven't been cut off. It's kind of a weird situation in that way. But I'm really thankful that we've got what we need, because there are people that don't have that. And then the last thing, I will give you a recommendation. If you're looking for some more good content online, the only podcast I listen to, because I'm not really big into that kind of stuff, is the Unashamed podcast by Phil Robertson of Duck Dynasty. So you can find it on Facebook. I watch the video through Facebook or YouTube, but you can also find it on a podcast. So good content, and share your Helen stories, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.